Welcome back to the workshop. The people over at Sansi sent me an email asking me if I would review their new LED wing light product. And I'm all in favor of free stuff, so I said sure, send it on over. So I got it right here. It's pretty cool. The wings on it actually fold out, and so you can control the direction your light is traveling when you get it all plugged in. So let's plug it in. Okay, so my stupid things were angled, but it seems like it's going to be pretty easy to bend them back. Maybe not. Well, let's see if I can get the light installed. A little dangly. The advantage of these is I can angle these lights. And so even though my stupid fixture doesn't want to work with this, the Sansi light still works with it. Alright, let's see how it looks turned on. Alright, that's it. Video over. Pretty cool, huh? Just kidding. So I was trying to think of a way to utilize the foldability of the wings to its full potential. And so I came up with the idea to make a mobile lighting rig for the shop. So like when I'm trying to get into something and I can't see, I can just bring this pretty cool little light with me. And so that's what we're gonna do. So let's get to work.
I want to preface this build with the fact that Sansi didn't pay me to do this. They just sent me 2 sets of lights. If I didn't like the product, I wouldn't be doing this video. Most of this video is the build, but I do a few tests on the lights to see how they perform compared to my old lights. If you want to just see that part, skip ahead to 11:24. Alright, on with the build. I cut a sheet of plywood in half and then cut a 2 foot by 2 foot section for the base. Then I ripped 2 3-inch wide pieces, a 2-inch wide piece, and 2 1.5-inch wide pieces.
Alright, so the current plan is to attach this to the base. So it's going to be a sandwich of the 3-inch wide piece, the 2-inch wide piece, not in these locations, obviously, and then the 1.5-inch wide piece. And that should make a nice little pivoting arm type motion going on here. So I've got 1/2-inch bolts, and I'm going to chisel out a hole for the bolt for the nuts, and then that'll trap the nuts so I can add handles and just be able to turn them without needing them with a wrench. Let's do that.
I marked the locations for the nuts and then drilled them out using a Forstner bit that was just slightly smaller than the nuts. Then I used a chisel to create the hexagon of the nuts in the plywood so they would sit flush. I used a vise to press the nuts into each piece. On the wider pieces, the nuts were too high for the vise, so I had to use 2 other pieces of plywood to help press the nut in. On the pieces without nuts, I drilled 1/2-inch holes for the bolts to go through. Then I put it all together to see if it will work.
Next step, I'm going to epoxy in the bolts into their little recesses so that way they don't come out like you may or may not have seen on that test I just tried to do. So, here we go. Alright, while the epoxy is drying, we're going to finish up the base, so that means we're going to go cut some more stuff out on the table saw.
I cut 2 4-inch by 4-inch blocks and then marked the bolt hole location. Then I marked the center point of the base. I sandwiched 3 pieces together so the spacing would be right, then marked the locations. I pre-drilled and countersunk holes for screws and flipped the base over. I attached the base pieces with wood glue and 2p10 to hold it in place while I flipped the base back over and reinforced it with screws.
These 4 pieces are going to go in the 4 corners, so that way the screws that are mounting the casters to the bottom of this don't poke through and stab me in the foot.
2p10 and wood glue again for the small blocks, and then attach the casters with screws. Time to put it all together.
So the epoxy broke free in here. I'm not sure. I'm hoping if I stuff some more epoxy, it's not tacky. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's finished setting. All right, that seems like a worthwhile. I really don't want epoxy on here. I really don't want to take it back off. It's a pain in the butt. Alright, let's finish putting it together, and then we'll figure it out.
I used a clamp to hold it together in the meantime while I figured out a plan.
I got this handy dandy clamp light, and check this out. The little thing comes right off, so it's perfect for the wing light. So let's take off this wing nut clamp nonsense, strap it in. So the only problem with these lights is they only go parallel here. But if you look, there's a little stoppy thing right here. So I'm gonna file that off, and so that way, hopefully I can get more range of motion. Because I think that'll be more useful for this mobile light stand. Oh yeah. Look at that. What you doing? Are you coming to help Daddy? Okay. You want to file?
Yeah.
All right. Come here. All right, so we gotta file the plastic. You see that? You want to try? Do it right here. Thank you.
So simple, even a 2-year-old can do it.
Man. Alright, so the new plan is to forget about trying to get the bolt in the wood and being all fancy. We're just gonna get some longer bolts, have a washer on one side and lock washer on the other side, and we'll use that to create the friction I need to support this light. So we also have to make one more piece. I don't know if you noticed, but the thin piece at the end is kind of bowing out to fit the light in there. So I'm gonna add a spacer block to the middle row, so that way it's just as wide as the light, so it doesn't look like. So the epoxy to wood bond failed, but the good news is the nut was kind enough to get epoxy to the bolt. So it is completely stuck. I'm going to see if I can just manhandle it apart, but if I can't, I'm going to have to get the angle grinder out. Time for some mechanical advantage. There we go.
Once I got it all apart, it was time to put the new bolts and washers on.
Alright, that definitely works. Hey, good. Alright, so I'm actually going moves freely. But the most important part is it doesn't drift. So I don't have to deal with handles and all that nonsense. Because who wants to deal with handles every time they want to move something? That's ridiculous. The Tower of Lights. It beckons. Almost there. Just gonna secure this cord with some zip ties so it's not all flippity floppity. And then the arms, it's a little tight. So I'm gonna loosen it up to the point where hopefully it'll be relatively easy to move, but also the weight of this thing will cause it to flop. So it's the next step.
I put a couple sandbags on the base to give me some leverage while moving the arm and then loosen the bolts just a little bit.
Yeah, that totally works. Cool. But let's just pretend I'm over here doing something I just can't quite see. Oh, so we don't. I can adjust the light however I need it. And now I can see.
Here's my garage at night with my old lights. Before, after. Before, after. You be the judge.
So, one of the biggest problems of filming with LED lights is the frequency of the light will match up with the frequency of the camera. And so you'll get these wavy lines going down, and they're really noticeable when you go to slow-mo. So right now I'm filming in 60 frames per second. I'm about to slow it down to 40%, which will turn it down to 24 frames per second. And so it'll be 40% slower than real life. So let's see if there's those wavy lines.
Look, Ma, no waves.
All right, cool. So we'll see if they're there. And if they're not, I'll show you my living room lights because those cause that wavy line. So that way you can see the difference.
All right, thanks for watching. These lights made a huge difference in my garage. I know that some of that's because my old lights were warm and these lights are daylight, but it really is much brighter and I can see much clearer inside my garage. So, if you're looking for an upgrade to your current garage lighting, I highly recommend the Sansi wing lights. The wing feature on them just adds a whole new level of functionality. They're really cool and really well made. And I've got a link down below to where you can go buy them. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, share it with your friends. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Check out one of these videos up here, and I'll see you on the next one.